I picked up, and then he's saying, "Oh, you called the cops on me. You called the cops on me. You think I'm gonna get arrested, and then when I do come back, I will kill you. This is not the end. I'm coming back. I'm coming back for you."
This case is about a mother of two who was tragically taken out by her abusive ex-boyfriend. She did everything right in order to address the abuse. However, the safeguards that were in place were not enough to keep her alive. I'm gonna take a deep dive into the tragic case of Bridget Tackey, and I will discuss the circumstances leading up to her death and how the justice system handled her situation. "27-year-old Bridget Tackey was a mother of two to boys named Jeremiah and Nathan, who were the center of her universe. At the time, Bridget had just graduated from a medical office administration program at Centennial College and volunteered at a hospital downtown every week. Bridget had an ex-boyfriend, 30-year-old Emmanuel Owuzu Ansah, who was the father of her children. They had never lived together, and it may have been due to her discovering that he was living with another woman who had a child by him too. Emmanuel was an abusive man who would put his hands on Bridget, and things would escalate to the point where she would call Toronto police a couple of times on him. But usually, she would recant her allegations to cover for him. Not only was he abusive to Bridget, but also to other women he had been with in the past. The Ghana immigrant was convicted of assault causing bodily harm after he held a woman at knife point, beat and bit her, and then refused to allow her to seek medical attention. Bridget had gotten to her breaking point, where she realized that she could no longer put up with Emmanuel's abusive ways, and that she needed to protect herself and her children. Her breaking point occurred on December 3rd, 2012, when Emmanuel had beaten her with a broomstick and a pot. She had gone to the police and told them in a taped interview that she was scared for her life.
I picked up, and then he's saying, "Oh, you called the cops on me. You called the cops on me. You think I'm gonna get arrested, and then when I do come back, I will kill you. This is not the end. I'm coming back. I'm coming back for you."
Do you take his threat to be real?
Yeah, because what he did to me last night, and I don't feel safe at all. Like, I'm scared.
Okay.
I take this thing very serious.
You take this very seriously?
Yeah, from what he did, and from him to say that this is not a joke.
Okay.
Emmanuel was then charged with 3 counts of assault, 2 counts each of assault with a weapon, and weapons dangerous to the public peace, and 1 count of threatening death. There was a bail hearing where Crown Attorney Tom Lissaman advocated for Emmanuel's detention on what's called the secondary grounds, meaning he was dangerous and likely to reoffend. He even detailed his record and history of previous domestic violence, and the fact that because of it, there was an open file at a Children's Aid Society. The prosecutor also warned the judge that the real concern here is that Mr. Owuzu, if he is released, is going to reconnect with the complainant and cause her further harm, if not, something far more tragic. But the judge released Emmanuel on December 5th, 2012, on a $5,000 no-deposit bail to a surety, his cousin. A surety is a person who comes to court and promises to supervise an accused person while they are out on bail. Emmanuel was also released under the condition for him not to contact her or their 2 young sons, who were just 3 and 18 months old at the time. As well, he was placed on house arrest. Bridget took great pains to avoid running into Emmanuel. She was staying at a women's shelter, but was advised to switch shelters because the first one was too close to where her ex was living with his cousin. She and her new boyfriend at the time had to change their routines and keep her location hidden. But she had a job where she worked weekends at an airport restaurant, a job where she had to start in the early hours of Saturday mornings. And as a single parent and a woman getting back on her feet, she needed to work. As well, the second shelter had no daycare on site, as they don't have the budget for it. So she turned to her mom for help. But instead of abiding by his bail conditions, he repeatedly contacted her and began stalking her up until her tragic murder. At around 4 a.m. on January 19th, 2013, Bridget had left her mom's apartment on Willow Ridge Road in Etobicoke, Ontario, Canada, to head to her job at Pearson International Airport. While heading to her car, Emmanuel confronted her, holding a large hunting knife he'd bought earlier along with a can of gasoline. Emmanuel then killed her in a murderous rage, stabbed her 25 times, set her body on fire, and then left her to die in the street near Weston Road and Eglinton Avenue West. Police recovered several items at the scene, such as a Wedco label for a 4.7-liter gas can, The Best Defense knife box, and a pair of gloves. Less than 3 hours after her body was discovered, Toronto police, with the help of Peel Regional Police, arrested Emmanuel at a gas bar in Huron, Ontario Street and Eglinton Avenue area of Mississauga at around 9:45 a.m., and he was charged with first-degree murder. Emmanuel had pleaded not guilty and claimed that he had a knife and a can of gasoline because he planned to slash her tires and torch her car. But instead, he claimed she stabbed him during the confrontation, after which his mind went blank and that he has no recollection of killing her. In May 2015, during the murder trial, Emmanuel's lawyer, Scott Reed, asked the jury to find him guilty of the lesser offense of manslaughter. Reed maintains that the couple's volatile relationship played a significant role in his client's mindset. He said Emmanuel was being tortured by a series of degrading, anonymous, and threatening texts in November 2012, all promising he would end up in jail or be deported, and that Bridget likely has something to do in making those texts and wanting Emmanuel out of their lives. Desperate to see his sons, stricken with fear, he wanted only to lash out at her by either slashing the tires on her car or burning it. But she was on her way to work by the time he arrived at her mom's place, and she saw and somehow took the knife he'd brought with him, and they ended up quarreling, with Bridget apparently lashing out with the knife and stabbing him in the leg. Reed said Emmanuel was upset with Bridget, but he didn't go there to kill her, and that he was provoked by the stabbing. As well, Reed argued that he didn't even remember the attack, as he had blacked out during the heat of the moment. However, prosecutor Rob Kenney argued strongly against the provocation defense and described his actions as intentional and motivated by hatred. The prosecutor argued that Emmanuel's hatred for her was so strong that he risked his freedom by violating his bail conditions in ways such as by stalking her by phone and in person, and even booked a few days off work so that he'd be free to deceive his surety about his whereabouts and hunt her down. The prosecutor wanted to introduce evidence of Emmanuel's abusive and controlling ways to demonstrate his history of being the aggressor and stalking his exes. Evidence included testimony of Emmanuel's ex, whom he stalked as well and threatened to fatally stab back in 2006. However, the evidence was excluded by the judge, who ruled that it was too prejudicial and jeopardized the accused's fair trial rights. The prosecutor told jurors that Emmanuel had time to buy a knife and a canister of gas in advance, and then attacked her with such power that he chipped pieces of bone from her skull, and he even broke the handle on a foot-long hunting knife. As for the injuries he suffered, the prosecutor said it was because he attacked her with such fury that he cut himself in the process. Bridget's mom, Juliana, had to recall the terrifying message from Emmanuel that he killed her daughter outside of her home. She said minutes after Bridget left the home, she got a call from an angry Emmanuel who admitted that he killed her. She couldn't believe what he had told her, so she called her daughter's phone, only for Emmanuel to answer it, and he said, "I told you. Do you think I'm lying? Go to the back of your apartment building on Willow Ridge Road and see her there." As well, in a victim impact statement read to the court by Juliana, she said she still cannot understand how her daughter managed to continue to smile despite the abuse she was enduring at the hands of a monster. She said, "My poor child suffered tremendously under the stronghold and control of this man. I ask myself every day as to why she suffered in silence and never reached out for help. But then I am reminded about her resilience and independent personality. She always managed well on her own and probably thought she could fix him as well. The law couldn't protect her from him before, and I'm scared it won't be able to protect all of us now. As you can see from his history, he destroys what he can't have. And my fear is that if he ever comes out and the kids reject him, he will kill them as well." Emmanuel remained impassive during the trial and declined to say anything before being sentenced. Emmanuel was found guilty of second-degree murder and was sentenced to life in prison and won't be eligible for parole for 22 years. As he was led away in handcuffs, Bridget's loved ones broke into applause, with one woman yelling, "Burn in hell." Although Bridget's loved ones were happy with the outcome, it was bittersweet as Bridget was still gone and her children are still without a mother.
We're happy that he's going where he's going, but at the end of the day, we don't get Bridget back, so that's nothing for us right now.
That is all for now on this case. Please let me know your thoughts. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and share this video. Your support is greatly appreciated. And I will see you next time on Melanin Mysteries.